October 1st is unique to Nigeria and her citizens in all fronts, and it has been observed as Independence Day. And also the day is set aside by the United Nations as International Day for the Aged. The care for older persons is our focus on Panorama today. I'm Rhoda Anona. We begin Panorama today from the judiciary, where the leader of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, is arraigned in court this morning. Details of the hearing, presided over by Justice Ijoma Ojukwu of the Federal High Court, Abuja, will be brought to you in our subsequent news belt. An interdenominational church service has held to mark Nigeria's 59th independence. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the service says God brought his trusted prophets as promised a new peaceful and prosperous Nigeria where equity and justice will prevail. Jide Onifede has to report.
It's a message of hope as the nation gets ready for the 59th independence anniversary. And for a nation with a greater population of believers in the existence and power of God, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo brings the message that God is ready to take Nigerians into the promised land, as it is recorded in the holy books that he did for the Israelites by taking them out of bondage, suffering, and slavery into the promised land.
The new Nigeria is here, and each and every one of us, our families and our friends, all of us will eat the pleasant fruits of this new land. God Almighty has taken away the protection of the enemies of this nation. He has taken away their powers. The noise we hear, the turbulence that we experience, are the last gasps of the defeated foe. The day of freedom is at the door.
Former Head of State, General Yakubu Gowon, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, the CAN President, Shupo Ayokunle, are among dignitaries that speak on the new Nigeria.
Of the various self-inflicted crises and challenges in our nation today, we can come together in unity of faith, love, and prayer to salvage our nation from its woes.
Let us change our mindset. Not let us think of ourselves alone anymore.
The interdenominational church service is part of the programs organized to mark Nigeria's 59th independence. In Abuja, Jide Onifade and News.
A British judge, Christopher Butcher, on Thursday ruled that Nigeria has permission to seek to overturn a judgment that will permit a UK-based private firm process and industrial development known as P&ID, the authority to seize over $9 billion in assets from Nigeria. Anthony Forsing reports.
An Industrial Development Limited is a firm set up to carry out a gas project in Nigeria. It won a $6.6 billion award from arbitration after the said deal collapsed. From 2013, the $6.6 billion award went up to over $9 billion, and by August this year, a UK commercial court ruled that P&ID can seize Nigeria's assets in the same sum. The federal government of Nigeria, with this development, dispatched a high-powered delegation to the United Kingdom to present its case as to why the commercial court of UK should listen to each side of the story.
We are here strategizing both on the legal and on the PR aspect of the case.
Members of the delegation moved with confidence, armed with facts and figures as to why the UK court should grant its plea.
That borders on fraud, corrupt practices, illegalities, jurisdiction, and the application of law as it relates.
The federal government's delegation settled in the Nigerian embassy for days, counting down to the date of hearing. During these periods, the delegation assembled its legal team in the UK and those from Nigeria.
Quite surprising case. I think the more information that's shared with the investment community in London, the better government will be able to push back on this quite shocking and disappointing situation.
the UK lawyers will be working with the Nigerian government to set aside that judgment, which we believe to be unjust, unfair, and to have been procured using misrepresentation.
Counting down hours to the hearing, there were high hopes of a positive outing.
Obviously, the people we met here are so taken aback that I've gotten a lot of information that was hitherto not known to them concerning fraudulent activities of P&ID. And with this narrative, I think the whole world will know that the judgment that was given to them was given based on information that was not made known to the court.
Not the first time. They had entered, the same actors involved in P&D were also in the IFCO judgment. Yes, the same people. And they had a lot of companies. They have series of chef companies. P&ID itself is a chef company that does not have any vote.
It gives Nigeria an opportunity to meet members of the international community to tell our own story about the fraud that the P&ID was all about.
Then the hearing date. After 2 hours, Judge Butcher adjourned for another 1.5 hours. In the end, he ruled and granted Nigeria's request for a stay on any seizure while the legal challenges is pending.
We are studying the ruling from that perspective, from the perspectives of compliance, from the perspectives of the law, from the perspectives of available remedies to us.
What this means is that we can no longer be harassed by P&ID. At least in the next 60 days when we would have been able to meet the cost condition.
Anthony Forson, NTA News.
October 1st, besides being Nigeria's independence, is set aside as the International Day to celebrate older persons. And to discuss the issue with me, I have here in the studio, and of course, an elderly person. He is Senator Eze Ajoku, who is the President, Coalition of Societies for the Rights of Older Persons in Nigeria. Senator Ajoku, it's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, first of all, before we begin to talk about your group and what you do, first of all, let's look at the issue on ground and that has to do with older persons. How would you assess the rights of older persons in Nigeria as we speak?
As we speak, older persons in Nigeria have no rights, defined rights.
Okay.
Because when you look at it, there's nothing an older person in Nigeria can stand up today and say, this is my right. Okay. You know, either in health, in other areas. That is what my organization is struggling and fighting for and advocating for. Last year we had to send a draft bill proposal to the National Assembly, you know, on the rights and privileges of older persons.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Senate was so busy that no attention was given to it. We are also trying to go back and represent the same bill to the National Assembly this year, because until there is a legal framework to back up any efforts in the advocacy for the rights and privileges of older persons, nothing will happen.
All right, so what are you doing? How are you pushing for this legislation?
Well, what we're doing is, like I said, our committee, we looked at all the laws and all the bills that have been passed, and none addresses completely the rights and privileges of older persons. And we came up, you know, our group, we sat together. The late John Shakaya was chairman of the committee that looked at the bill, and we came up with a draft bill.
Okay.
And what we would like to see is that there should be passed a bill providing for some basic rights and privileges for older persons in Nigeria. You see, when we talk about older persons, we're not talking about those older persons who are in Abuja, for example, or in Lagos, who still have something to do. Because the majority of older persons are in the rural areas.
Sure.
You know, and you find that, whereas some of us, I'm 72, I'm comfortable, I work, some of them in the rural areas cannot eke out a meal in a day. some are abandoned. There are children who you expect to look after them. Many of them have no jobs. So they are not able to support themselves. They cannot support their parents. And you can imagine what is happening to older persons in rural areas.
So what are your major challenges now?
A major challenge is that is government.
Okay.
We want government, one, to have definite actions for the older persons.
Okay.
It's not a matter of talking about older persons. I mean, look across this country. Our president is an older person. Most 60% of those in the Senate are older persons.
Yeah.
About 30% of those in the House are older persons. Yet, no one amongst all this group are talking about older persons. Unfortunately, the older persons have been put in women affairs, where they are dealing with children, a lot of problem with children, a lot of problem with women. So, older persons, to my mind, have become an endangered species in this Nigeria. And when we say the heroes of our the labors of our hero past, these are the heroes that built this nation. Why is no one thinking about them in their old age? Those are the issues. And we're looking up to government. We know that the families have been looking after the older persons. We're saying, let it not be just the families. Let there be a partnership between government, a partnership between non-governmental organizations and such structures that are trying to help, and the families, so that it is not an abandonment of older persons to their respective families. They have contributed to the building of this nation. We'll be 59 tomorrow. And then, where are the older persons in anything this country is doing?
Right, you are the president for the Coalition of Societies for the Rights of Older Persons. So far, what has your group achieved?
Well, our group has done quite a lot. What happened was that we have different NGOs, faith-based organizations, all the groups looking after the older persons. And we came to a realization that individually, we are making efforts, but we needed a platform, a stronger platform, to be able to reach government and do things so that government can hear our voice more. And that's how we formed the coalition in 2016. And mainly we formed the coalition, we went into action. We've worked with the Women Affairs, and I believe that with the new minister and what the efforts the permanent secretary did last year, we will soon have a policy on aging. We believe that in the next 2 months there will be a policy on aging, but hitherto there has been no policy on aging. And there need to be policies that are addressing issues of older persons. So we've been working with Women Affairs to have that on ground. We'll be working with other organizations also, trying to see what can be done for the older persons. Last year, we held a national conference on aging in Abuja, together with other organizations. And it was...
You have your group in other states, not just in Abuja?
Yes. We
have chapters in other states?
We're starting up the chapters in different states. Imo State, these states, we're trying to, coordinate all the NGOs working with older persons. We're forming this strong coalition so that at the state level, advocacy is going on within state assemblies, the governors, the ministries. And this year's conference, which is the second national conference, we are trying to mobilize all the state ministries of Women Affairs. That's where the older persons are now. They are state governors. Members are mobilizing in those states. We're trying to come together to look at the issue with older persons. And we're seeking that government should intervene and be more definite. Look, there's a personal assistant, my Women Affairs, youth, and nobody thinking of older persons. Older persons will probably need a commission to look after them. So that there'll be focus on addressing these senior citizens, as done in other countries. When people get old now, there are no old people's homes, and nobody will want to send his relation to an old people's home as presently constituted. We've been asking government, create daycares for older persons. My mother used to come to stay with me, but she's now in the village. And when she comes, or your mother can come visit you now. What will you do when you're coming to work? You lock her in and put on the television for her. If there's a place she can go, where older persons gather, it will be fun. She would feel younger. Definitely. She will interact with people. And I used to be surprised. My mother does not speak English, but when she sits at my gate with security men, I see her laughing and happy, talking with them. And I'm wondering, what are they talking about? Since they speak Hausa and she speaks Igbo, I can see them talking to her and she's talking to them, and I'm surprised. And that is the kind of feeling old people want. Loneliness is killing many older persons. Definitely. All right, Senator Eze Njoku, thank you very much for coming on Panorama. We wish you a very wonderful celebration tomorrow. Thank you very much. And of course, we wish your society the very best as you continue to advocate for the rights of all the people in Nigeria. Thank you very much. All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, Panorama continues in just a moment, so stay with us.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion.
All right, you're welcome back. I guess that's the much we can take on Panorama for today, as we'll be joining our live broadcast from Port Harcourt on the public presentation of the certificate of OML 11 by the Rivers State Government in Port Harcourt. Do enjoy it.